Good evening, and you're very welcome to Around the Grounds here at Finalwhistle.ie. Another Friday night jam-packed with action from both the Premier and the First Division, spread across most of the days. Will be two earlier kickoffs in both the Premier and the First Division, but we've also have action, of course, just after finishing up in all of the 7:45 games. And starting with one of them, we go to Carrick Park, where Wexford took on Longford. Now, Wexford, of course, were looking to build on their recent run of form. They now sit fourth in the table. They were looking to get back amongst the top three in the division. They took on a Longford team who've only played 2 games due to games being cancelled as well. They've only managed a point from their opening 2 games. And watching all of the action for us at Carrick Park was our reporter, Sean Crosby.
Yes, Dermot, certainly a disappointing night for Wexford FC at Carrick Park as it finishes Wexford 0, Longford Town 3. Longford got to a near perfect start, just 2 minutes in. Dylan, a short corner finds its way to Dylan Barnett. It's a perfect routine straight off the training ground, and he fires the ball in through the legs of Paul Hunt. And Wexford looked rattled really from the early goal, never really got going for the first 20 odd minutes. They struggled to create chances. It was really only until the 25-minute mark that they started to get things going. Aaron Dobbs and Joe Manley both coming close to scoring against their former clubs, but neither could actually find a target on this occasion. Manley with his effort clear off the line, and Dobbs firing a volley high and wide. A really frustrating night for him in front of goal. And it was Longford's experience that really made Wexford pay. Wexford couldn't take their chances, and Longford could. Just before half-time, the second came, a quick counter-attack from Longford, and it was Ryan Graydon who looked to play the ball across the box, but it actually deflected off Paul Cleary, came back to Graydon, and he lifted the ball over Paul Hunt. A lovely deft finish from him. Longford went in 2-0 up at the break. Wexford started the second half a lot stronger, a lot more intent, urgency. Obviously, Ian Ryan's words ringing in their ears still, but again, struggling to just find that final, just get the final chance to go in, really. Dinny Corcoran still in search of his 100th career goal, firing a volley wide. The introduction of Conor Crowley, Thomas Constantine and Jack Doherty, a triple substitution, Ian Ryan, looked to pick things up for them. Those three made an immediate impact, with Crowley going close, Constantine causing all kinds of problems down the right flank, and Doherty with some nice delivery from set pieces. But like I said, again, Wexford failing to make anything happen, and it was 10 minutes before time. The nails put in the coffin by Longford Town. Another counter-attack, the ball played out this time outside the box to Aaron Robinson, who managed to lift the ball over Paul Hunt, getting dinged twice tonight to make it 3-0. And that really capped it all off for them. Aaron Dobbs missing an open goal right at the end really summed up the night for Wexford, and a massive dent in their push to kind of go for that top three places and really be amongst the very best end of the season. So it finishes here: Wexford 0, Longford Town 3.
Thank you, Sean, for that report, as always, from Carrick Park. Now, we will stay in the First Division and go to a different Sean. That will be Sean Comer, who is watching the action between Athlone and Galway at the Athlone Town Stadium. Athlone up against it tonight, taking on John Caulfield's team, who are going for a title charge. Athlone sitting rock bottom in the table. And Sean will be bringing us his report from Athlone.
Jeremy, somewhat surprisingly, I thought Athlone actually played all right tonight, but Galway just had too much quality in the end. It finishes 2-1 to them here. They make the short trip home, happy with all 3 points. Early on, Thomas Alou and Success Edagon had some decent chances for Athlone. Adiomo and Wilson Waweru looked dangerous for Galway. I think the best chance for Galway in that first half came from Keane Murphy. When Adiomo nicked the ball from Athlone trying to play it out, they got sloppy, and Adiomo capitalised on that. He fed Keane Murphy, but he just dragged his shot wide. On the half-hour mark, Oisin Duffy, the right back for Athlone, through some nice work actually out on the right wing, managed to put in a left-footed cross. And Edagon took a touch, turned that goal, and he done all the hard part right. But just when it came to compose himself and put it in, he sent it over the bar. And Athlone's inability to score in the first half came back to bite them. On the hour mark, Galway finally found the breakthrough when a broader long throw into Manu Dimas, who came on for Adiomo actually at half-time, was met in the box. It was a very good header. It just glanced right over Schlingerman. There was nothing I think Schlingerman could have done about it. And then a few minutes later, Athlone were hit again. There was O'Keefe throwing to Wilson Waweru in the box. And Waweru managed to hold off numerous Athlone defenders, and he managed to flick it in. It was one of those where you couldn't believe he got it in. It was just a great bit of centre-forward play. And from then on, Galway looked to kill the game. It was made nervy kind of in the last 5 minutes plus injury time when Success Edagon who had been dangerous for Athlone all night, like I mentioned, was played through, and he slotted it into the Galway net. It was a case where the Galway defence was just kind of caught napping, and he punished that. And then in injury time, Athlone were peppering the Galway box with lots of long balls, and Cairns looked a bit nervy in goals. Coming out, he was flapping at a lot of crosses, and there was, from one of them, Athlone could have gotten a penalty. There was another one where they could have put it into an open goal, but Galway's defence stood strong enough in the end. And they managed to see out the win, and I suppose it's the sign of a really good side where they only needed a few good minutes to win this one.
Perfect, Sean. Thank you for that report from that game. And now we will move on to Drogheda, where Drogheda took on Dundalk. Now, Drogheda haven't had the easiest start to the league. They've got one win in their opening 5 games. They were looking for a strong result against a Dundalk team who are looking to try and get back into the European places and mount a title charge this year. They've looked impressive so far this season, and watching all the action for us was our reporter, Con Sheehan.
Yeah, Dermot, a huge win here for Drogheda United. 1-0 it finished. Dean Williams' spot kick just into the second half proves to be the difference. Dundalk huffed and puffed for the second half, but just never got over the line, and that was thanks to letting themselves down with chances, but also some gutsy disciplined defending from the Drogs. This one had everything you would have expected in terms of the derby element of the game. There was a frantic pace, there was an abundance of chances, and many fouls as well, as expected, which is kind of always the case when these two square off, especially here in Head in the Game Park, where the pitch is so tight and compact that the fouls are kind of almost unavoidable to an extent, and the play was always going to be broken up very frequently. But at the same time, it was actually quite a tactically interesting game as well. Both sides seemed to engage in a war of route one balls diagonally, where they both tried to kind of pick up on the scraps, and it nearly came off numerous times for both sides as well. The first example of this was when Lewis McCarry played a long diagonal ball into the Drogheda box, and it kind of broke loosely to Pat Hoban, and his volley was sent just wide. Shortly after this, 2 minutes later, in around the 15th minute mark, Dean Williams was actually clear through on goal and brought it around Nathan Shepherd in the Dundalk goal, but he kind of seemed to hesitate slightly, and his effort was quite tame as well, and it was eventually cleared on the line. From then on, the back and forth nature of the game just kind of continued, and it was such a fast-paced match. Numerous big chances up until the break there, and then straight into the second half. Darren Nugent, following a throw-in on the right side, Darren Nugent was brought down just inside the box by Greg Sloggett. The Dock supporters here seem to be very unhappy with the decision. It did look like he went down quite softly, but nonetheless the referee pointed to the spot, and Dean Williams tucked it away very confidently for a man of his young age. And it was a quite well-deserved goal for him too, because he was putting an absolute shift up in the attacking end for the Drogs. And from here, Dundalk, it was always going to be just all Dundalk probing and Drogheda. Essentially, up at the hour mark, had 10 men behind the ball. Chris Lyons was brought on eventually, and his job was really just to chase down any clearances that Drogheda made. But they really had 10 men behind the ball for most of the second half, and that's what was required, as well as the Dock had numerous chances. Pat Hoban went close a few more times, but the ball wasn't really falling right for him today. Sam Long as well, it must be said, was very good. A secured performance, a safe performance, I would describe it as, from him. There was many times where a shot was kind of fizzed at him, and he just dealt with it very well, again, for a young goalkeeper of his age as well. So yeah, and that was the story of the second half then. Remarkably, no bookings in the game, but Dundalk just continued to push. Stephen Bradley, who returned to the squad today, was actually brought on, and he looked like kind of the brightest spark for them in terms of the second half. He had one chance around the air mark that he hit low, and Long saved that, and then nearly with a goal of the season contender then with 1 minute of normal time left, where he flicked it through the legs of a Drogheda defender and bent his following effort just wide. But you could see what this win meant to Drogheda in the end. Kevin Doherty on the sideline was as animated as ever, literally pleading with the referee to blow the whistle there at the end of stoppage time. But yeah, 1-0 finishes here to Drogheda in the game park.
Perfect, Colin. Thank you for that match report, as always, from all the action done at Hidden Game Park. Now moving up toward Derry, where Derry took on St. Patrick's Athletic. A very entertaining game tonight, one that was definitely going to be bringing the attention of a potential title fight between the two teams. Of course, Derry, on the eve of the 5th anniversary of the passing of their former captain, Ryan McBride, were looking for a strong performance this evening. And watching all of the action for us at the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium was our reporter, Sam Curtin.
Hi, Diarmuid, and yes, it was an absolutely dramatic finish to a dramatic game up in the Brandywell this evening. They started off with a bang, finished with a bang. 4 minutes in, Will Patching, it really was all about him this evening. He struck a beautiful right-footed effort just outside the 18-yard box to push the hosts ahead 1-0 after just 4 minutes, and they really dominated the rest of the half, really, and they nearly had... They were nearly a goal up again, and on the half-hour mark. Jamie McGonigal, who was fantastic for them as well. His left-footed effort just shot past the Pats goalkeeper, Joseph Ananga's post. And they were very, very impressive because they were applying this really kind of high press that's been very, very effective for them, straight out of the Rory Higgins playbook. And Pats just could not really settle into the game in the first half and didn't really create a huge amount of note. And it was 1-0 at the break. Second half, though, much, much better. Kind of a tale of two halves, really, at least for the first 20 minutes or so in the second half. And on 47 minutes, St. Pat's drew level. This time it was through Tim Kravosti. He basically, the ball fell to him off an Owen Doyle effort for Pats, and he struck a fantastic right-footed effort into the roof of Brian Maher's net to level affairs at 1-1 after 47 minutes. From there, both sides tried to push for an equaliser, really or for the lead, and it was really just one attack after the other, end-to-end stuff, really. Derry probably shading it on chances. For example, Brandon Kavanagh came on and he set up a beautiful ball for Danny Rafferty. He really should have done better. He's shot from the near left-hand side post, but a good save from Joseph Ananga, who actually got injured in the process, but was able to get up and play on. But really late drama, because in the 93rd minute, Will Patching, a fantastic performance from him tonight, without doubt man of the match. He basically, the ball fell to him off a corner, jumped past a couple of defenders, and from about 24 yards out, he struck a brilliant ball, a bottom corner of Joseph Ananga's net, and it finished 2-1 at the Brandywell. They leapfrog Pats now into second place behind Sligo Rovers, results depending there. So they go into second place now in the table and still unbeaten. So it finished this evening. A great night for Rory Higgins's troops, and fitting end, I think, and I'm sure Ryan McBride was looking down them with a smile on his face at the end. Great result for Derry. It finished 2-1 at the Brandywell this evening.
Perfect, Sam. Thank you for that report from all of the action that was at the Brandywell this evening. Now we'll turn our attention to two teams in the Premier Division who are locking horns toward the bottom half of the table, and that was Finn Harps and Shelbourne. Finn Harps, definitely a team that are looking likely for relegation, but definitely are a team that are used to the fight of that anyway. And Shelbourne are yet to have a home win this season. Damien Duff was, of course, looking for his first win at home of the season. So this evening, they took on Finn Harps, and watching all of the action for us at Tolka Park was our reporter, Alana Canan.
Hi, Diarmuid. Yeah, first one of the season here for Ollie Horgan's Finn Harps, who have beaten Shelbourne 3-0 here at Tolka Park to ensure that long trip home to Donegal is a happy one for them. Ethan Boyd opened the scoring in the first half for Harps after his side had hit the crossbar twice already. Before Conor Torres and Eric Woods both got their first goal for the club, and that was later on in the second half. J.R. Wilson was injured there just before half-time, which looks kind of worrying for Damien Duff Shells because he had to come off on a stretcher, so hopefully that's not too bad of a one for him. And the discipline, I suppose, continued to slip down in the second half as there were quite a few yellow cards, and even arguably maybe even more should have been allocated. But Luke Byrne, Dave Webster, Ryan Connolly, and of course manager Ollie Horgan were all up there. I thought Milovic was really impressive for Harps, and of course we're they were the goal scorers too. They were quite progressive, and while Shells were kind of accused of playing from the back too much in the first half, they did slightly improve on that in the second half, but they just couldn't manage to pull anything back. So yeah, it concludes 3-0 here in Tulka Park. Next up for Harps, they play Shamrock Rovers in Finn Park, while Shelburne travel to the showgrounds to play Sligo Rovers in hopes of a more positive display.
Perfect, Alana. Thank you from all of the action this evening at Tulka Park. Now turning our attention to another Dublin team that were in action tonight, that would be the meeting of Shamrock Rovers and Sligo Rovers at Tallaght Stadium. Sligo Rovers, of course, unbeaten in the league so far this season. They have had an amazing run so far this season, and they took on Shamrock Rovers at Tallaght Stadium, hoping to continue their unbeaten run and stay on the top of the table. And watch all of the action for us, our reporter Luke Delaney.
And Dermot, it was a real classic of a game for any neutral watching. Sligo leading 2-0 at half time. Strikes from Aidan Keane and Will Fitzgerald. It was a real snatch and grab in that first half. Rovers had chances to take the lead themselves, and then a couple of defensive errors. Barry Cotter, I thought, was fantastic for the first half hour, and then unfortunately made a mistake, allowed Aidan Keane through, and they were 2-0 up at half time. Shamrock Rovers introduced Neil Ferrugia and Jack Byrne off the bench then at half time. And it took maybe midway through the second half for them to finally get their first goal of the game. A Graham spot kick. Andy Lyons made a brilliant run down that right wing, and he had a fantastic game himself. He was taking on people, and he looked very, very dangerous anytime he was on the ball. But he was brought down under a challenge from MacDonald, and Graham slotted the penalty into the bottom corner. And then with just under 10 minutes remaining, absolute unbelievable ball in from a corner from Jack Byrne was met by the head of Sean Hoare. And unluckily for substitute Max Mata, he put it into his own net. So that means the sides have to take a share of the spoils.
Perfect, Luke. Thank you from report from Tallaght. Now, we had other action today in the Premier Division at 5 o'clock. UCD welcomed Bohemians to the UCD Bowl. UCD, of course, in a relegation battle with Harps themselves, they were looking to try and get a strong result, while Bohemians haven't been the strongest team that we're used to seeing from Bowls. Of course, they were looking for a result as well. And watching all of the action earlier today was our reporter, John Nee.
Hi, yeah, it was a very interesting start here at the Bealefield Bowl between UCD and Bohemians. Bohemians started the far better team. They were up on top after 5 minutes. There was a good cross in, and the ball was spilled by Lorcan Healy. It dropped to Promise Umasher. Lorcan felt like he was fouled in the build-up to the goal, but Umasher was the quickest to react, and he just blasted the ball into the roof of the net. This was 5 minutes in, and Bohemians fairly well kept the pressure on for the next 20-30 minutes, creating chance after chance. Devoy hit the post with a great effort after around 25 minutes, low and hard down to the keeper's right, just glancing the post. UCD started to get into the game around after half an hour in, but no major chances. A few set pieces, a corner, a free kick from the left-hand side went past everyone, out of play. Liam Kerrigan had a good effort for UCD. Just on the 43rd minute, just before half time. That was probably their effort of the half, to be fair. Moving into the second half, both sides started very, very lively. Bohemians had 4 or 5 corners by the 52nd minute, just in the second half alone. So they were putting big pressure on that UCD defence. But they stood to the test. The students were counter-attacking well. They started to get into the game a lot more themselves, pushing the ball up the field. And on the 67th minute, Sam Todd got free from a corner. No one around him. It's worth looking at it. Like, great bit of play. Went past 2 Bohemian lads, jumped in the air and headed it right into the bottom corner and got the students back into the game. They hung on well for that. Bohemians were pushing. They looked like the side they were going to get the 3 points. UCD looked like they were just happy to settle with the draw, and I wouldn't blame them on the first half performance. But yeah, they held on to the draw very well. I have to give a bit of a shout out to Talbot in the Bohemians goal. He made 2 or 3 really key saves late on as well, as UCD were counter-attacking. So he was quite impressive overall in the game. So yeah, that was all from the Bealefield Bowl. UCD won, Bohemians won. Good draw for the students. Bohemians possibly a bit more disappointed.
And a big thanks to John, of course, for keeping an eye on all of the action there for us today. Now, we had another early fixture today, this time at 3 o'clock down at the Markets Field in Limerick, where Treaty United took on their Munster rivals in Cork City. Cork City, of course, sitting at top of the table, were looking to put in another top-notch performance against Treaty United side, who are yet to actually grace the Markets Field this year due to unplayable pitch surfaces and everything like that. They have yet to play at the Markets Field, but they managed to get action underway today. And watching all of the game for us was our reporter, Tom Clancy.
Full time at the Markets Field, where Cork City have won this Munster derby on a comprehensive scoreline of Treaty United 0, Cork City 4. Cork came into the game with 2 wins in recent weeks over Munster rivals Cove Ramblers and Waterford FC, and they made no mistake of making a 3 on the bounce in Munster with this emphatic victory at the Markets Field. Treaty never really got going and found themselves behind after just 3 minutes when Barry Coffey raced clear and curled a beautiful effort beyond the despairing dive of Jack Brady. Cork added 2 more before the break, with Cian Bargary on hand to take both of those. One of them from just outside the box that he found the top corner. The second, a little bit controversial, when he blocked down the ball before, potentially with his hand before poking to the net for 3-0. That was the game, really game, set and match there for Richie Holland's side. Cork, well, they did little in the second half because they didn't have to. They put the brakes on and made sure that Treaty weren't allowed back into this contest, and sealed the deal with Jonas Hakkinen added a rare goal when pouncing on yet another Treaty United mistake with 10 minutes to go to make it 4-0. A large Cork City's following came to Shannon's side today, and they'll be happy with their side's showing. For Richie Holland, who's in interim charge ahead of Colin Healy, he'll be happy with his side's work, especially defensively, as they made 5 clean sheets from 6 outings so far. And for Treaty United, well, it's back to the drawing board, back-to-back defeats following defeat against Galway United last Monday. They really did not get anywhere near their best, and will be scratching their heads as to why that was. The Markets Field surface here was on much debate in recent weeks following postponements of contests against Athlone Town and Longford Town, but finally we did get to see some action here. The pitch indeed was bumpy, sandy, but that did not stop Cork City playing some fantastic football over the course of the 90 minutes, and they were deserving victors and sealed their place on top of the table for now at least. Full-time score from the Markets Field: Treaty United 0, Cork City 4.
Now, our final act of the night comes from Cove. Cove took on Bray Wanderers, but we'll cross over to our reporter, PJ Ahern, who's watching the game for us of all the action. Now, PJ, as far as I know, there was a power cut just before the game, and I think we're running maybe 10-15 minutes behind schedule.
Yeah, at the moment, no. The USB have played a blinder tonight. They got us back on track there with getting us under play there at 8:15. It has been a night, as per usual with Cove Ramblers. It has been a night for a late drama. Any night I seem to be covering Cove Ramblers, there seems to be a lot of late drama. Look, the story of the night so far, as we enter the last 3 minutes in stoppage time, is that the Darragh Lynch struck late there with 10 minutes to go to find the net to open the scoring. He struck from 25 yards out. He got his strike away, found the top corner. It will go down. This game will go down labelled as a smash and grab from Bray Wanderers, but on reflection, they were braver with their substitutions in the last 20 minutes, and in truth, goals win games, as we know.
Perfect, PJ. I'll come back to you anyway just before, as after full time anyway, just to get the full report on that. So what we'll do, we'll just briefly run through all of the results from the other games this evening. We'll cross live to PJ then later on after full time just to get the full time report from that game anyway, and we'll bring you all of that once we get it to us. So as you've seen there, Drogheda United were 1-0 winners against Dundalk. A big win for Finn Harps as well, with a 3-0 win over Shelburne this evening. Sligo Rovers continue their impressive run. They remain unbeaten after a 2-2 draw at Shamrock Rovers. It looked to have been a fantastic result for them in the early stages, but as Luke was saying, Shamrock Rovers managed to get a late smash and grab own goal there from Max Mata to give them a share of the points this evening. And as Tom was alluding to there, Cork City with a big 4-0 Munster derby win against Treaty United. Galway United were 2-0 winners over Athlone Town as well. But for Galway, they can see them definitely challenging toward the top of the table. Athlone rooted toward the bottom of that table so far. Cove Ramblers and Bray Wanderers finished. Our PJ's there, that game hasn't finished yet. We'll get across to PJ once we get the full-time score from the game. Wexford, of course, suffered a 3-0 defeat to Longford this evening. And I think we've one more game, of course, the UCD and Bohemians game as well, finished 1-1. Of course, we'll just see there the Premier Division table as it stands Right now, Derry sit top on 14 points after winning this evening. Sligo Rovers, the point there sees them and St. Pat's in second and third place, respectively, 1 goal separating the two sides, while Shamrock Rovers are sitting in fourth after their point. Dundalk dropping points this evening, of course, against Drogheda. The win for Drogheda can see them and Shelbourne tied around 7th and 8th position. But a big win definitely for Finn Harps toward the bottom of the table sees them 2 points clear of UCD and just 1 point, of course, behind Drogheda as they try to get out of the relegation places. And moving on to the first division table, of course, Cork City and Galway now sit level at 13 points in the table. Goal difference there, of course, a big 4-0 win for Cork, a massive result for them to get ahead in the table. And Waterford, of course, haven't played this evening. They sit in 10 points in third position. Of course, I mentioned that Athlone Town are still rooted to the bottom of the table on no points. Treaty United getting in action again today. They're only sitting on 4 points, sitting in 7th place. And of course, Wexford result, not the best for them, as they couldn't close the gap on Waterford this evening. What we'll do next, we'll just give a look ahead toward the fixtures that are coming up over the next few days. So next Friday night, we have action only from the first division. Bray Wanderers meet Wexford, Cork City take on Athlone Town, Longford entertain Galway United, and Treaty United take on Waterford. Another Munster derby down at the Markets Field for Treaty United. Definitely another interesting game to see how they develop down under Tommy Barrett, see if they can get under the big performance. Now, we do have action as well from the Women's National League tomorrow. Peamount United take on Treaty United at 5 o'clock. Cork City and Sligo also take place at 5 o'clock. Galway and the DLR Waves kick off at 6. Bows and Wexford Youths kick off at 6 as well. And Athlone Town kick off at 7 o'clock against Shelbourne in that. And of course, we will have another Around the Grounds for you tomorrow night with all of the action from the women's game. Now, I believe we have had full time in Cove, and we can cross back to PJ just to give us a full-time report of the action as well.
So the story of the night here is that Bray Wanderers do take out the 3 points. It's their second win in a row. As I said previously, it will go down as a night where DSB brought light to St. Colman's Park. Darrell Lynch lit up the Airtricity League encounter with a terrific strike from 25 yards out. He showed great composure to get his strike away and find the top corner. In truth and reality, Ramblers will be desperately disappointed. They had 4 great chances in the course of the first half. They had a few chances in the second half. Ben O'Brien Whitmarsh had the best of his chances with 3 gilt-edged chances in the first half. Conor Joynan found himself through at one stage and forced a great save from Bray Stephen McGuinness to pull out a big save. Danny O'Connell had earlier in the 7th minute seen a penalty appeal waved away by referee Owen O'Shea. Bray looked for a way back into the game during the course of the first half. Dean Zambra edged his way in, while Rob Manley, Villas Labatus and Zach O'Neill all had relatively soft half chances. Kevin Knight was probably the brightest for Bray. He contained Cove Ramblers where he could in defence. The game had fallen a bit static during the course of the second half. Bray were in possession but making very little territorial advances. Conor Joynan had a solid enough effort where he cut across from the right hand side, cut back inside on his left foot, and his shot failed to bend in onto target. The game turned with a double substitution from Bray with 20 minutes from time, and of course that saw the introduction of Darrell Lynch. Cove fell flat as the game went on, and the game was decided then with 10 minutes to go. Ramblers were on paper the better side, but whatever Pat Devlin said at halftime woke up Bray, and their contribution, while measly in the first half, they made a count with 10 minutes to go from time.
Perfect, PJ. Thank you for that report from all of the action at Cove. Another big night across both of the divisions, and that, of course, brings a conclusion to all of the action from the Airtricity Leagues this evening. Big thanks to you, to all of you who've tuned in to watch the show this evening. Just remember, it will always be available on our YouTube channel as well to view a watch back. All of the reports from tonight's games are also available on our website. Full statistics also available on our website for the top scorers and clean sheets as well for you to take a look at. We will be back next Friday from action for the first division, but you can tune in again tomorrow evening, where we will have all of the action and all the match reports from all of the women's action tomorrow in the Women's National League as well. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, and until the next evening, goodbye.